Ryan Fitzpatrick was born on a cold, rainy day inside a bear cave. No one knows what happened to his parents, but many experts believe that they spontaneously combusted into stardust after seeing their newborn son. Fitzpatrick did his best growing up in the wilderness. Trying to fit in was hard because, he was raised by bears. No, not those kind of bears. This kind of bear. Matter of fact, make it angrier. Now give it some AK-47s. Maybe a beard? Oh, and a hat. Also, a lion's head. Yeah, that looks good. After his friends mauled a lost hiker, Fitzpatrick found a football amongst the wreckage, and from there, his interest in the sport began to grow. He would carry the football everywhere he went, even taking the ball to prom, which, even though he was going to an all-bear high school, was still pretty strange. After Fitzpatrick graduated from high school, it was time to go live with humans. Despite being at the top of his class, he was rejected from every college because he was only 8. Bears don't live that long, Not wanting to do K through 12 again, Fitzpatrick took as many things as he could from his brief time with the humans. He would go back to his bear family and study the art of football. When he was 18, he returned to society and decided to play for the Harvard Crimson football program. Anyone who was around Fitzpatrick during his youth knew this was the only option, as the only reason why Harvard was the choice was because his friends mauled another hiker. Man, they should really close down that forest. And in the hiker's possession was a VHS copy of the 2001 comedy classic How High, with the two main characters, Jamal and Silas, played by legendary MCs Method Man and Redman, attended the prestigious school after they smoked a plant that had the remains of their dead friend in the soil. Then their friend appeared as a ghost and helped them on a college acceptance test. At first, Harvard denied Fitzpatrick, but after some convincing, he was allowed to attend. No SATs, no extracurricular activities, and no pompous attitude. What made you think you had a chance here? These guys. Good point. Fitzpatrick excelled as a signal caller for Harvard, leading the team to an undefeated season in 2004. The only downside to his college career was that none of his family ever attended because they died while he was in college. Bears don't live that long, Fitz was drafted in the 7th round of the 2005 NFL Draft. Football Legend says that he has the highest Wonderlic score in NFL history. How did he accomplish this? Don't know, don't care. In St. Louis, he had decent moments, the most notable being a comeback overtime win against the Houston Texans. This win earned him a starting spot, making him the first Harvard quarterback to start an NFL game. Unfortunately, he sucked the following weeks and lost his starting job to Jamie Martin. In 2007, Fitz was traded to Cincinnati and started most of the games in 2008 due to a Carson Palmer injury. The team started 1-11-1 before winning their final 3 games, completely fucking up their draft positioning. 2009 was the official start of Fitzmagic, as Buffalo signed the young-ish gun to a 3-year deal. Buffalo was never good during those years, but they did give Bills fans hope when in 2011 the team started 5-2. The start included a 21-point comeback win over the Patriots. The Bills were so impressed, or desperate, that they gave Fitzpatrick a 6-year, $59 million contract extension. Wait, aren't you guys being a little too hasty with this contract? What do you mean, hasty? Fitzpatrick won us a Super Bowl. No, he won you a game against the Patriots. Oh, but every salty Pats fan said it was our Super Bowl. Unfortunately, the Bills did indeed jump the gun when Fitzmagic turned to Fitztragic, as the Bills completely shit themselves the rest of the season, going 1-8 the rest of the year. In 2012, Fitzpatrick had an okay-ish season, but the team went 6-10, and the Bills front office, after making such a big commitment to him, released Fitzpatrick after the season. In 2013, Fitzpatrick was signed by the Titans. He was originally supposed to be a backup, but he got thrusted into the starting position after an injury to Jake Locker. The Titans would go 1-6 with Mr. Lion Bear under center before winning the final 2 games of the season, completely fucking up their draft positioning. In 2014, the Texans were assembling a ragtag group of quarterbacks and signed Fitz to a 2-year deal. Fitzpatrick won the starting job, but was replaced by Ryan Mallett 2 weeks into the season. It didn't last, as Mallett got injured only a few weeks later during a game against the Bengals, and Fitz was back on top of the depth chart. for now. The most notable game of 2014 was when Fitz threw for a career-high 6 touchdowns against the Tennessee Titans. Unfortunately, this would be the highlight of the season because a few games later, Fitz would fracture his tibia against the Fighting Andrew Lucks. He was replaced by Tom Savage, who, I swear to football Jesus, I wish was good, because how hardcore is the name Savage? Number 14 was traded to the Jets in 2015, where he would start in Week 1 after starting QB Geno Smith was punched in the face by a lion bear. Should have given Fitzpatrick the starting position. See what happens when you don't listen? The Jets finished the season 10-6, but they missed out on the playoffs because God hates the Jets. In 2016, the Jets gave Fitzpatrick a 1-year contract because they weren't as stupid as another New York franchise. 14 was the starter, but was benched for Geno Smith early in the season, only for him to give back the starting role after Smith got injured the next game. After the 2016 season, Fitzpatrick signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a backup. He did as good as he could in his late age, playing in a few games after Winston got injured. In 2018, Fitzmagic will be at an all-time high, as the signal caller would become the first quarterback to throw for over 400 yards in 3 consecutive games. He would win 2 consecutive NFC Player of the Week awards. During Week 10 against Washington, Fitzpatrick threw over 400 yards for the 4th time this season, and tied Dan Marino and Peyton freaking Manning for most 400-yard games in the season. In 2019, our protagonist was signed to a 2-year contract with the Dolphins. He won the starting spot over Mr. 9 mistakes ahead of me, but lost his starting spot after a couple of weeks. Fitz's season was mediocre, but the Dolphins as a whole was a mess that year. Here's a fun fact: a 37-year-old quarterback led the Dolphins in rushing with 276 yards. How the hell does that even happen? 2020 was Fitzpatrick's last hurrah. He won the starting spot over Tua Tagovailoa. The most notable moment of the season was when the Dolphins beat the Raiders after an unbelievable no-look pass in the 4th quarter. I remember watching this game absolutely pissed because the Colts needed the Dolphins to lose to keep their standing in the playoff race. In the last game of the season, the Dolphins got blasted by the Bills and missed out on the playoffs. This marked the 2nd time in his career that a team Fitz was on would miss the playoffs despite going 10-6. Fitzpatrick's career went out with a whimper as he was injured in Week 1 of the 2021 season. He would retire in the offseason. Ryan Fitzpatrick's career can be compared to a good spare tire. It will be able to take your car the next 10 miles to a car shop, but it's best not to keep it on longer than that because there's a reason why it's a spare. The biggest crime against humanity was Fitzpatrick never tasting postseason play, which, seeing how he could turn into a football god at any moment, was a shame. We most definitely would have seen him in a Super Bowl, and maybe he would have won one.